Why the brain chooses the wrong guy. There is a guy in almost every story like this. Confident. Calculated. He already knows what he is going to do before he walks into the room. He knows which compliments land. He knows when to pull back and when to pour attention on. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she already knows something is off. She can feel it, but the attention feels so good that the warning gets buried before it can finish its sentence. This explainer is not about good people and bad people. This is about why the human brain keeps making the same choice, and why understanding that wiring is the only thing that changes the ending.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The neuroscience of intensity.
So, to really wrap our heads around why this exact story plays out so often, we kind of have to look at our fundamental wiring first. I mean, we always tell ourselves that we're looking for a safe harbor, right? A steady, reliable partner. But the reality of our biology? Well, it's actually completely different. The human brain is simply not attracted to safety by default. Actually, it's attracted to intensity. When someone makes you feel a remarkably strong emotion, whether that's, pure excitement, sudden uncertainty, or even just this low-level anxiety about where you stand with them, your brain registers that intensity as significance. It's wild, but the stronger the feeling, the more important your brain decides this person literally must be. So a manipulative person who knows exactly how to manufacture that emotional intensity, they don't just feel exciting to be around, they feel profoundly important. And meanwhile, safety? It just feels ordinary. Not because the stable person is somehow less valuable. No, it's because stability just doesn't hijack the system. You see, the brain was never actually designed to choose what's good for you. It was designed to chase what feels most alive.
Which brings us to part 2, the chemistry of attention.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that attention isn't just some flattering bonus in human interaction. It's a profound, biological, chemical driver. For the human brain, being noticed, being chosen, and being actively pursued, it literally activates the exact same reward pathways as finding food or securing physical safety. Think about that for a second. When a calculated person gives you their complete, focused, laser-like attention, your nervous system responds as if something genuinely vital to your survival is happening right then and there. It feels incredibly good because your biology is actively rewarding you for securing that focus.
But here's where the mechanics of this become, well, absolutely devastating. When that calculated attention is suddenly withdrawn, when they suddenly pull back after making you feel completely chosen, your brain doesn't just feel disappointed, it literally goes into a state that is neurologically identical to withdraw from a substance. If you've been through this, you really need to know that you're not being dramatic. At all. You are experiencing a very real, very severe chemical event in your brain. The person doing this has either learned this rhythm instinctively over time, or they've discovered it deliberately. But either way, they're effectively using your own neurology against you to maintain control.
Part 3, the quiet knowing.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this is the part of the story nobody really talks about honestly enough, mainly because it happens entirely beneath the surface. In almost every single situation like this, the person being pursued already knows something is wrong, not consciously, not in articulate words, but the feeling always arrives first. Look at step 1. Your nervous system starts reading patterns that your conscious mind hasn't even fully assembled yet. It senses that the attention is slightly too perfect, the interest is just a bit too immediate. Then in step 2, a warning triggers. And trust me, that feeling is absolutely correct. But then, look at step 3. The attention feels so overwhelmingly good, and walking away from something that feels so vibrantly alive just feels way too costly. So what happens? The conscious brain prioritizes the massive chemical reward over the discomfort of the warning, and so, in step 4, the knowing gets buried. I want to be really clear here. This is never about stupidity. Not at all. It is simply your biology prioritizing a massive chemical reward over a quiet, uncomfortable truth.
Part 4. The ignored, genuine option.
And this brilliantly illustrates what is, for a lot of people, the hardest reality to sit with. In almost every one of these situations, where someone ends up in a dynamic that just completely cost them their peace, there was a parallel path. On one side, you have the calculated person, but on the other, the genuine option. Someone quieter, someone who showed up consistently, without all the roller coaster of drama. Someone whose interest was absolutely real, rather than just some calculated tactic. This person would never run a plan on you, because they just don't see human beings as targets. And you notice them. There was eye contact. There was a moment of recognition that a real, safe connection was right there, available. But real felt boring next to intense. Safe felt ordinary compared to the sheer excitement of the calculated pursuit. And honestly, the social expectation that the right person is going to fiercely pursue you, fight for your attention, and make their interest utterly impossible to ignore, while that expectation made starting a simple, honest conversation with the genuine person feel unnecessary. So the moment just passed, and the calculated person got the attention the genuine person never received.
Finally, Part 5. Updating your nervous system.
So, the crucial point is, where does this actually leave us when the manipulation finally collapses? The pain of these relationships is incredibly real, and the damage is absolutely real. But inside that immense pain is vital biological information. The exact same nervous system that initially chose intensity over safety is now learning. Through the sheer cost of that choice, it's actively learning what intensity without substance actually produces. This trauma isn't just meaningless suffering. It's your nervous system actively updating its threat detection software with critical new data. If you go through this and reflect on it honestly, you don't just recover. You develop a genuinely rare capacity to finally recognize the real difference between an intensity that means something real and an intensity that is merely manufactured to produce a result. That incredible capacity was built by going through something that felt like total destruction. You were never foolish. You were simply running on original wiring that had never been updated with the knowledge of how it could be exploited.
The moment you understand that the intensity you were chasing was a signal about your nervous system and not a signal about the other person's value, everything about how you choose people begins to change.